This portion of the CU podcast is sponsored by MegaCat Studios and Ronew's Tale, a new NES game coming soon. Polish those magic and thinking skills because there's no turning back. Help Ronew find his way through a death-defying dungeon and take down a plague of enemies hell-bent on keeping him there. Watch your step, you're no longer on stable ground.
43 levels of dangerous pathways, head-scratching puzzles, a whirlwind of enemies, and epic bosses, limbo, lava, jungle, and cross-dimensional pixel-immersive mechanics. Intuitive and precise controls. They all await you with Ronew's Tale.
Fans of Lolo, Solomon's Key, and Kickle Cubicle get a new challenge with 40-plus levels in Ronew's Tale. That's awesome. I don't think there's enough games quite like those other games, so I'm excited to see something carry on that legacy. You can support the Kickstarter and get the game at retro.mom. That's retro.mom. Support Ronew's Tale by MegaCat Studios.
Ian.
Yeah.
We've had a whirlwind week in the aftermath of the explosive investigative journalism done by Karl Jobst and his video unwrapping the layers of alleged market manipulation and deceit with the people behind the Wata.
Are we certain it's Jobst? Jobst.
Jobst?
Hopst.
I hope it's Jobst because he doesn't correct me when I
Jobst.
Text him.
Well, then we'll just say it's Jobst.
Thanks for derailing me, Ian.
I want to get that right.
We're a week in now after that explosive video that outlined things that we've spoken about for two and a half years about the intricate relationship between the people that founded Wata Grading Service, people that run Heritage Auctions, and everything in between. And he did a very, very, very good video about it. He did include probably all the details and information he had, by the way. And from that, people finally started to take notice because me and Ian yelling about it and raving isn't as polished and as nice as a nice video with receipts on the screen and SEC filings and videos. Like, that's what you want.
We're bums.
That's what you want. We're bums. We're drunken podcasters.
Bums.
We're hungry and drunken podcasters when it comes down to it. Now, the mainstream has started to take notice, including some gaming sites in the past that pretty much, we'll just say, didn't do their diligence in covering this stuff in the past. There was a Video Games Chronicle article and a Kotaku article that covered Karl's coverage of this. So it's like, okay, here's the stuff wrapped in a bow. This guy did it for you. But they're covering his coverage. So outline the relationship, the record-breaking prices. This is his article. This is Ethan Gak. Not only, this is his quotes, not only does he accuse Heritage Auctions of fraudulent behavior, wasn't directly accusing of fraudulent behavior, said it could be fraud based upon the players involved in Heritage Auctions that were buying and selling games, which we'll get into. He also questions the motives of Wata games, which appears to be a revolving door between graders, collectors, and sellers. Yes, that's clear. I mean, we have Dennis Kahn, one of the co-founders of Wata, basically saying, "I'm doing this to help pump up the market." That's he says these things. Clearly, it's like, oh, it's not just about helping gamers or collectors. It's like, I want to raise the importance and how this looks, and it was clear there was a plan here, that there was collusion involved here. There's a select group of very wealthy, very powerful people pulling the strings behind this recent spike in video game prices, and the same people are making money hand over fist, Jobst argues in his video. Wata Games did not respond directly to requests for comment. I think they eventually did. But however, Wata parent company has engaged the services of a PR firm called Golden Solutions. They actually didn't. This is what they did here. This is what Golden said. And Golden is one of the things they do is they're an auction house, which we'll get into. They're going to start auctioning this stuff off. They said, Wata Games is a trusted leader in collectible video game grading, and we're honored to play a key role in this booming industry that we are incredibly passionate about. We're humbled by the support of our thousands of customers who trust us to provide accurate and transparent grading. The claims in this video are completely baseless and defamatory, and it is unfortunate that Mr. Jobst did not contact us to give us the opportunity to correct him. I love these statements always never point out what was actually defamatory or baseless.
Right.
It's always, it was defamatory and baseless. Nothing he said is untrue. Don't worry about it. It's not like Karl laid down multiple facts and relationships with receipts about all this and timelines of events. So that's interesting. And Golden is going to start doing video game auctions. Right now, they're starting to auction off games, including Wata graded games and VGA, which we'll get into. So the spokesperson for Golden Solutions reached out that the firm actually works for Collectors Universe. There you go. So remember, Collectors Universe When did they just do that deal? Collectors Universe purchased Wata right after that huge sale in July. So this is Collectors Universe, who runs Golden now, buying Wata to do this stuff. To talk for them. Did I get that right?
I think.
Did I get that right? Yeah, Collectors. Yeah, they acquired. This is the timeline events. Collectors Holdings, which includes Collectors Universe, bought the auction house in early July, right? Mm-hmm. That's this article I'm looking at. A few weeks later, they then buy Wata, who grades the game. All within a month, and now August 31st, they start auctioning off video games, including
Wata graded games
that they own the company of. Do I have that right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but that looks like the timeline of events happening here. Does that seem sleazy to anyone else?
Definitely seems strange.
If I had that wrong, correct me. But that's what it looks like. Auction pioneer Ken Golden sold Golden Auctions to Collectors Holdings in July 1st, this article I'm reading. So this is all happening pretty fucking quickly. All this big money getting into this new sector, investing sector.
Alternative asset,
which, again, did not exist 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago, this did not exist. So this is Golden going to bat for Wata, because now Golden Auctions / Collectors Universe is Wata. They're all melded together now. So they put out this statement to Kotaku to say that. But there's also, remember, Heritage Auctions. They were talked about as well. And Jim Halperin, who was a co-founder and an investor, they took him off the website of Wata. He was connected to this. I guess with the sale, maybe he's no longer connected. He got a buyout. I have no idea how this works. But he put out a statement as well, basically saying, I didn't do anything wrong, blah, 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 blah. And that's where we're at. They're not gonna admit that they're wrong. This is what Heritage Auctions says. Heritage Auctions wishes it had been given the opportunity to respond before the video's publication, because there are numerous misstatements of fact and inaccurate conclusions contained within the piece. Of course, they won't point out what. Heritage strongly refutes any allegation that it or its officers are involved in shill bidding, market manipulation, or any similarly illegal or unethical practices. Heritage prides itself on our transparency and being a place built by and for collectors. With this in mind, we welcome the opportunity to discuss the video game marketplace further and would invite Mr. Jobst to our world headquarters in Dallas to tour our operations and speak further with leadership. We're going to throw him out of a window and claim he committed suicide? Like what? Like what? What? Why didn't you go to, why would you have to go to the headquarters? Here's the room where we keep the stuff mailed us before we auction it. You want to hold the gavel, Carl? Or you want to hit the,
you want a photo opportunity?
You want to hit the slab, whatever it is?
For a $30 non-refundable fee.
What do you think? You're going to sweet talk Carl? Or you're going to buy him dinner and say, hey, Carl, unless they think you're going to, like, here, here's a briefcase of cash. If something happens to this briefcase, we'll turn it back. So we won't. What do you think you're going to do?
I don't want anyone to get any wrong ideas, but buying me dinner is actually a great way to, get me to change my mind on things.
Best way to a man's heart's through his stomach. Yeah, that's what they say. That's true.
True.
I mean, God, find someone that can cook for you. Oof, that'd be good. No, I cook for myself. I cook for myself more so than anything. Or we're getting off topic here. So here you have a weak statement put out by Wata. I now have to say Wata / Golden / Collectors Universe. I got to now say that every time because they're all intertwined, disgustingly so. You have that.
We also got
and then you have the Heritage Auction statement.
Then we've got one from Jeff Meyer from Go Collect, the guy who bought a Nintendo Age and shut it down. He does a more in-depth response to the allegations.
And he was an investor in Wata.
Yes.
And it was not disclosed to a lot of people. I didn't know about it.
So starts off, I'm still very much looking forward to hearing from Mr. Jobst to set up a live stream. In the meantime, I'd like to answer the questions that have surfaced over the past several days on social media and message boards so that no one has to wait on that interview for answers. So he starts with some additional context, which, okay. He talks about the largest piece of missing transparency is the video games market is rooted in the lack of census information for both WADA and VGA. I'm confident that if either of them release their data, it will be clear that there was no need for inflating grids to achieve ideal auction results. It only helps.
This person, he tries to say like, Karl said I was employed of the company. He never said that. He said you were involved with the company as a director and an investor, which gives you even more power than even an employee. And either way, you shouldn't be getting involved. WADA, which Karl pointed out, WADA did have and does have, which we'll talk about how weak it is, the company policy that if you work for us, you should not be buying and selling these games. Therefore, a director and investor shouldn't be doing it as well, in my estimation.
Something like, why was your board position at WADA not disclosed? I've never made any attempt to keep my board position a secret. But
What?
Then why wasn't it out there? But this conversation started by Karl highlights the sensitivity to the collecting community around this topic, as it should be.
He had I think a website statement that included WADA where it said there are partners. That it wasn't saying like, yeah, I'm technically part of this company. I'm a co-owner. When you're an investor, you're a co-owner technically of a company.
My minor investment with WADA was not a secret and was regularly discussed with the many people that I had contact with during the brief period which I released a large portion of the sealed NES games from the Carolina collection. My board position was a formality based on my modest investment in the company. So this is what I was trying to say. These people are running around. They're not thinking this stuff through. They're throwing around that they're board members and parts of this and investors in that to add legitimacy to what they're doing, not thinking about the pitfalls and downfalls that come with this.
Here's the bottom line.
And the fact that they can't do certain things once they've done this.
Here's the bottom line. This individual, while being a part of the company, right, acquires these games. I don't even care about the acquisition. And I don't think Dana Anderson did anything wrong, by the way, for the record. I don't think Dana Anderson did anything wrong with any of this. Acquires the games. While you're a part of this company, then, you're having your own company grade these games. Do I have that right? Then tag him with Carolina Collection, gives it a special oomph, all right? I'm still part of this company. I'm going to then sell these games through Heritage Auctions, which has a connection to my company. That's what Jeff Meyer did here. And to him, it's like, well, people knew about it, so who cares? It's not up for the few people you told, in your little, your back end collecting groups. Does the public know that? Do the people bidding on those games or even seeing it, do podcasters realize that, wow, this guy auctioned up this Carolina collection, he's actually a part of the company that graded this shit? That you don't think that should be disclosed to people? You don't think there's conflicts of interest that should be disclosed? Are these people operating in a different world than us, in a different world of ethics that doesn't apply? They don't think that can affect the marketplace at all. These relationships, insider trading sort of behavior. Like you think it's okay. There's nothing wrong with this. It's not. Is it a victimless crime? What else did he say, Ian? Anything else important in there?
I mean, the only other thing I'd point out is the why did WADA name the collection? That seems like special treatment. Assigning a pedigree, a prominent collection, a reference name is nothing new in collecting. No, it's not. It's the fact that yours got the collection name while you were working there. It's all of the things summed up together.
Sure. And then just talk about Nintendo Age. Why did you shut it down? He said, it was a different hosting provider, didn't have the resources or the time. And it's like, all I know is this. From knowing Dane, and he loved Nintendo Age, obviously. He worked on it for a long time. It's not like he was profiting off of it. I don't think he would have sold all this stuff to Jeff Meyer if he thought it was going to be shut down. And not, you know what I mean? I don't think he would have.
Sure.
Which he got in writing, that would have survived in a state and continued. A lot of those people migrated to Video Game Sage. A lot of those people did, but some people.
A lot of people didn't, though. So,
I didn't.
I can tell you, as a person who has been an active member on a number of forums over time, when a forum goes down, everyone says they're just going to, you just type in a different address and it's there. But not everyone migrates. The feeling is different. You get new moderators. I find that people rarely migrate to new message boards.
Sure. So those are the statements. You had 3 statements. You had Wata didn't put out a direct statement. They let the people who just bought them put out a statement, which we'll get into. We had Heritage Auctions inviting you out for dinner and coffee, and then you had the statement from Jeff Meyer here.
One photo with the gavel.
So this is what I'm gonna say here. This is, I'm not gonna say what direction it's going to be going week to week, but a lot of people now know about this that didn't know about it 7 days ago. Mainstream outlets, I believe, may be at least looking into this to cover this, not just gaming sites. Basically, the gaming websites, I'm not going to bring up about the state of gaming journalism, but the gaming websites so far have just been regurgitating whatever's been thrown in front of them, whether it's statements or not fact checking some of this stuff. At this point, they're at least saying that what Karl has said in his video may have merit a little bit, enough to do an article about it. But a lot of people know other people to discuss things like this. There's a lot of people that we're getting older. This is like, oh, it's video games. We're 40 now. When you get to like 40, it's like you're established. Sometimes you got lawyers that probably watch the podcast, reporters that watch this podcast. You and follow the stuff in general. Watch Karl's video. Karl's video is going to hit 1 million views, pretty damn soon probably. You have a lot more eyes on this than you'd want if you were the people at Wata or Heritage Auctions now.
Sure.
This is not under the bridge like, oh, this is fine. They made a mistake. They did this too quickly. They got too greedy. And they have now the exposure that I think they didn't want. Not that they were trying to cover up the relations before, but now you have enough people yelling about it and making enough noise that now, if we just talk about it, it can be ignored, potentially. If 20,000 people, 40,000 people here talk about it, that's actually not that much.
No.
You got millions of people talking about this. That's something, that's a whole degree of difference, including Seth Abramson, that has now done his own spin on this that we'll get to at investigating this stuff as well. We're talking about people that have 1 million followers alone that are now, that he's looking into this stuff. What's the one good positive thing to come out of this? VGA, the Video Grading Authority, which is no one's talked about now for years because Wata came in and ate their lunch, which we now know why, because they were setting up a relationship with Heritage Auctions and they all knew each other. VGA, the Video Grading Authority, announced in their
no one put a lot of stock in VGA either. It just never.
No.
There were people who were doing it, but it never really took off until Wata came in.
The one positive thing about VGA is that there's no relationship with them in an auction house. Like they are totally separate. Yes,
Sure.
there's always questions about transparency with VGA and who the hell was actually grading their stuff, and no one could understand the grading scale. That was the knocks. But they had, as far as we know, no relationship to anyone buying and selling their stuff. We didn't know any employees or directors of the company were buying and selling their stuff that we heard about. So they were doing it by the book, even though the product may not have been up to snuff in people's eyes. So on their, you go to the website, you can see why they're so behind the times. Their website is old as hell looking. They put out an August-September 2021 notice, Ian. They've added staff in several departments. Economy expressed tiers for grading stuff. No one's really grading stuff to VGA right now, though. No. The action figure stuff, probably yes, but not the games on their side. So they're trying to capitalize on what's happening probably right now and how Wata's get thrown on the bus, which is good. That's what you do as a competitor. This is important, this part. We are also nearing the final stages of designing and testing our new website to improve every facet of the customer experience. Initially, our new site will offer more information, an improved online store, and population reports.
Yep.
They see the writing on the wall. So at the very least, with all this bad press for Heritage Auctions and Wata, at least you have the competitor coming out with population reports. Of course, I would say, what the fuck kept you from doing this the past decade? Past 10 years? What kept you from doing it? You have the information there all the time. If you had done better with maybe PR and being transparent, maybe you wouldn't allow Wata to come in and destroy you on this front.
Right.
Maybe you're proactive and not reactive. If you could have been actually positive for the collectors, because Wata has been. They've been positive for people with deep pockets and people that got in early. Maybe you would have been a contender, Ian.
Refresh my memory. Is CGC saying they're going to do population reports, or do they already do population reports? So it's assumed they're doing population reports.
Was it CGA is the parent company of CGC? They do population reports for just about everything else they do. So
it says CGA is the parent company of VGA.
Oh, okay, I'm confusing them. So
CGC, I think it's just CGC.
It's just CGC?
Yeah.
So CGC, damn all these acronyms. So CGC, they certified guarantee company. There you go. Which CGC, okay, they do cards, comic books, magazines, and I was confusing that with Collectors Universe, I think. So CGC, certified guarantee company, they're going to start doing comics. They do population reports.
Start doing video
games. They do population reports for comics and everything else.
Yep.
So that's the positive news there. Trading cards, they do magazines, concert posters. I don't know if they do coins or not. So that's the good news, is that we're going to have a third company grading this stuff.
You really can. I mean, that's the one thing I think overall is that we really need population reports to make it more above.
But it's too late.
Above the water.
It's too late. It's too late. You know why it's too late, Ian? Because that $1.5 million Mario 64, 2 in same condition are for auction right now with Golden Auctions. 2 up for auction, the same auction.
2 9.8 sealed.
1 9.8 A plus Wata sealed, and the highest grade you can get from VGA, a 95 gold, which would be probably the equivalent of that.
Right.
So within the course of 6 weeks, you have three of these games publicly available. 3 of them. I can't think of any other collectible where you'd have 3 of the same grade of collectible that went for $1 million available this quickly. This goes back to, well, if you had population reports, maybe you had some idea of how many are actually out there.
Right.
Because we have no fucking clue. We have no clue. So, yeah, the 95, it's a 95 VGA Mint 95. That's their highest grade as far as I know. And from what I was kind of reading on Video Game Sage, even the slightly lower tiers might qualify as a Wata 9.8. That's what the feeling was. Well, maybe the 90 gold qualifies. Maybe they might be a little more stringent. Who knows? That's what they when we talk about, when going back to Jeff Meyer, about we don't know if the people that work for these companies or are associated with them when they were submitting their games are getting preferable treatment. We have no idea.
Well, one thing I learned from reading Jeff Meyer's responses is that VGA, I don't know if they still do, but they did. I think they grade differently. I think VGA incorporates the grade of the seal into the total grade of the item, whereas I believe Wata grades the seal separately.
Gotcha. Well, this says 95 mint uncirculated for this copy up. So uncirculated means they pulled it.
Well, so Jeff Meyer was saying that there were times where like they had things regraded that were graded by VGA. They had things regraded by Wata because the Wata grade probably looked better. You get what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
So there is maybe some merit to that 90 being similar to, depending on the condition, because the seal has to be in good condition to start to get that far.
So the 90 and 95 could still qualify potentially as a 9.8.
Right.
So there you go. If you had population reports, maybe you'd see, and again, we talked about this. It wasn't just about Wata, it was about VGA. How many 95 or 90 gold Mario 64s are out there? We don't know through VGA. How many 9.8 ones are out there for Wata? We don't know. They say there's at least, maybe there's 2. Here's the thing, though. They're now on a several-month backlog of this stuff. As my phone keeps dinging. I gotta turn this off. They're on a several-month backlog. Doing a podcast. Rude. You don't think there's other sealed Mario 64s, not only that have been graded in some degree with both VGA and Wata, you don't think there's a bunch sitting in their offices right now that people just rushed to send in the past 6 weeks? You don't think there's some? How many? What's the over-under and how many Mario 64 steel do you think were sent there?
It'll be interesting 50? To see if this shakes up people's faith in it, because all it takes is this to become the high-scale Spider-Man that we talked about, and people are going to see that the Emperor wears no clothes.
What do you think we've been saying? It's like sealed. These are not hard to find at all. We've established that they're not. And then when you say, well, it's hard to find the good seal. Well, there's factory cases that are probably out there still.
Look, I don't think these things are easy to find. You're not tripping over them, but it's absurd to assume that there are none in that condition out there.
If I can go on eBay, we'll even say a year ago, and find 20 to 30 sealed Mario 64s at any one time, that's not hard to find. If something is always available for sale at the drop of a hat, that's not hard to find. That's not rare.
Sure.
That's not how you define rare. That's the point. Now you get into, well, it's not sealed though, Pat. Well, what if there's 15 or 20 of these that are either getting graded right now or not graded in this higher grade? That it's not $1 million game anymore. It's not. That falls Hey, if you want to make an argument, it's still six figures because you're crazy. Sure. It's not going to sustain the value. So we're going to watch these two auctions. They go off in 18 days right now. The funny thing about these have minimum bids on here. 75 grand for the minimum bid for the VGA Mint 95 and 75 grand. And so that one's up to 120. The other one doesn't have any bids yet, which is weird because it's the same grade probably. 120 grand it's up to for the Mario 64. This is going to become the new Spider-Man. If we give it several months, we're going to see more. We're going to see people come out with the VGA ones, maybe get them regraded to a 9.8 potentially.
Sure.
I'm not going to stick my reputation on it, but I will bet money that we're going to see more of these come up throughout the year. And next year, we're going to see. It won't be just 3. It can't be just 3 within 6 weeks. Come on. Come on. These weren't ready to go? How quickly can you get these graded in tournament? These were ready to go. Imagine if you got this VGA one graded 9 years ago, Ian, as a lark. Oh, I'm going to get it graded. I found it for, I don't know, $50 at a store or whatever.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh my God, this just sold for $1.5 million. What I got here, and I've had this sitting around. Yeah, it's wacky, Ian. All right, anything else to add on this? I mean, we're going to segue into a separate topic about this. This is going to be a Wata and Heritage Auctions heavy podcast.